where visitors saw figures as diverse as Little Red Riding Hood and Marie Antoinette about to be guillotined. There was color everywhere. The street in Cairo, open now, glowed with soft yellows, pinks, and purples. Even the concession tickets provided a splash of color. Brilliant blue for the Turkish theater, pink for the Lapland village, and mauve for the Venetian gondolas. Sadly, the Ferris wheel was not quite ready. They exited the Midway and strolled slowly south, back to 63rd Street and the Alley L. They were tired, happy, and sated. But Harry promised to bring them back one more time on July 4th for a fireworks display that everyone expected would be the greatest the city had ever witnessed. Brother Harry seemed delighted with Nanny and invited her to stay for the summer. Flattered, she wrote home to request that her big trunk be shipped to the Wrightwood address. Clearly, she had hoped something like this would happen, for she had packed the trunk already. Holmes's assistant, Benjamin Pittitzel, also went to the fair. He bought a souvenir for his son Howard, a tin man mounted on a spinning top. It quickly became the boy's favorite possession. Vertigo. As Ferris's men became accustomed to handling the big cars, the process of attaching them to the wheel accelerated. By Sunday evening, June 11th, 6 cars had been hung, an average of 2 a day since the first turn of the wheel. Now it was time for the first test with passengers, and the weather could not have been better. The sun was gold, the sky a darkling blue in the east. Mrs. Ferris insisted on being aboard for the first ride, despite Grenoux's attempts to dissuade her. Grenou inspected the wheel to make sure the car would swing without obstruction. The engineer in the pit started the engines and rotated the wheel to bring the test car to one of the platforms. I did not enter the carriage with the easiest feeling at heart, Grenou said. I felt squeamish, yet I could not refuse to take the trip. So I put on a bold face and walked into the car. Luther Rice joined them, as did 2 draftsmen and the city of Chicago's former bridge engineer, W.C. Hughes. His wife and daughter also stepped aboard. The car swung gently as the passengers took positions within the car. Glass had not yet been installed in its generous windows, nor had the iron grille that would cover the glass. As soon as the last passenger had entered, Rice casually nodded to the engineer, and the wheel began to move. Instinctively, everyone reached for posts and sills to keep themselves steady. As the wheel turned, the car pivoted on the trunnions that both connected it to the frame and kept it level. Owing to our car not having made a trip, Grenou said, the trunnions stuck slightly in their bearings, and a crunching noise resulted, which, in the condition of our nerves, was not pleasant to hear. The car traveled a bit higher, then unexpectedly stopped, raising the question of how everyone aboard would get down if the wheel could not be restarted. Rice and Grenou stepped to the unglazed windows to investigate. They looked down over the sill and discovered the problem. The fast-growing crowd of spectators, emboldened by seeing passengers in the first car, had leapt into the next car, ignoring shouts to stay back. Fearful that someone would be hurt or killed, the engineer had stopped the wheel and allowed the passengers to board. Now estimated that 100 people now occupied the car below. No one sought to pick them up. The wheel again began to move. Ferris had created more than simply an engineering novelty. Like the inventors of the elevator, he had conjured an entirely new physical sensation. Grenoux's first reaction, soon to change, was disappointment. He had expected to feel something like what he felt when riding a fast elevator, but here he found that if he looked straight ahead, he felt almost nothing. Grenou stationed himself at one end of the car to better observe its behavior and the movement of the wheel. When he looked out the side of the car into the passing web of spokes, the car's rapid ascent became apparent. It seemed as if everything was dropping away from us, and the car was still. Standing at the side of the car and looking into the network of iron rods multiplied the peculiar sensation. He advised the others that if they had weak stomachs, they should not do likewise. When the car reached its highest point, 264 feet above the ground, Mrs. Ferris climbed onto a chair and cheered, raising a roar in the following car and on the ground. Soon, however, the passengers became silent. The novelty of the sensation wore off, and the true power of the experience became apparent. It was a most beautiful sight one obtains in the descent of the car, for then the whole fair grounds is laid before you, Greenough said. The view is so grand that all timidity left me, and my watch on the movement of the car was abandoned. The sun had begun its own descent, and now cast an orange light over the shorescape. The harbor was dotted with vessels of every description, which appeared mere specks from our exalted position, and the reflected rays of the beautiful sunset cast a gleam upon the surrounding scenery, making a picture lovely to behold. The entire park came into view as an intricate landscape of color, texture, and motion. Lapis lagoons, electric launches trailing veils of diamond, carmine blossoms winking from bulrush and flag. The sight is so inspiring that all conversation stopped, and all were lost in admiration of this grand sight. The equal of it I have never seen, and I doubt very much if I shall again. This reverie was broken as more bolts and nuts bounded down the superstructure onto the car's roof. Spectators still managed to get past the guards and into the following cars, but now